What's going on, collectors? Optical 20 here for another video review. This time I'm just gonna do a comparison between the two Supermans Man of Steels. You can purchase these figures at bigbadtoystore.com. Just click the link in the description. But first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to my boy Steven. Met him this weekend. Very cool guy, along with his family, his brother and his dad. Really cool guys. Check out his YouTube channel for some Hot Toys reviews as well, and some Dragon Balls and all that stuff. It's gonna be in the description. So let's start off with the accessories. This is Man of Steel, so basically the 1-to-1, I guess, key is what you call them, and also the 1/6 scale. And as far as the Batman versus Superman version, if you get the exclusive version, you got the light up kryptonite. In this case, it's a bit tricky because not everyone's gonna get the exclusive edition. So if you don't have the exclusive editions, obviously the edge goes to the Man of Steel version. But if you have the exclusive version, I mean, the light up feature beats out this two little things right here, because they're pretty much useless anyway, unless you buy those stand on eBay, which it rotates. As far as, because it doesn't, we're not gonna compare the hands, they're pretty practically the same, so we're gonna compare the stands. We all know this has the cool feature where it pops up, it has a stand, you can also lay it down. They are both using the dynamic stand, so for flying poses and whatnot. And I'm also disappointed that they're not using some standard stands because of the cape. But you know, you can see it. I guess it comes down to preference. See Batman versus Superman here. Some texture. I mean, they're both equally nice stands. They're not those ordinary oval ones. But at the same time, the Man of Steel takes up a lot of space, so I actually prefer the Batman vs Superman as far as displaying options is concerned. But if you're gonna ask me, I'll give the point to the Man of Steel on this one because it's unique. Although Jor-El and Zod does the same stand, but they are different designs compared to the Batman vs Superman, where it's all streamlined. They all look the same. As far as the actual figure itself, you can see I think Hot Toys made a big improvement as far as overall body or materials used. As you can see here, you know, we're gonna pan slowly as far as the handcuffs. I mean the armor's right here. On the Man of Steel, when you're watching it, it's on your left. Obviously right there, as you can see the belt. Just yellow, and here, I mean, on the surface it looks like on Man of Steel it's a better quality, but the fabric and I guess the color, you can see it's a bit darker on the Batman versus Superman. I actually like it better. There's more patterns, as you can see there on the shoulders. The S looks a lot bigger. His chest is wider body wise. His height is just decent, you know, it's pretty cool. The S in this one is a bit, you know, you don't really recognize it until you have Batman versus Superman. It's a bit smaller. It looks a little bit funny now. I didn't really notice it back then. And the color, it's probably the biggest difference right there, because a lot of people are modifying their Man of Steel so to give that flushed out look on his traps. But you know, you don't really need to do that on the Batman versus Superman version, which it makes a ton of difference, to be quite honest with you. A little modification can go a long way when it comes to his cape. Although I'm not the guy who would modify his figures, but I'm just saying, you know, Batman versus Superman, I think overall as a figure, as you can see him standing side by side, because of the height, I give the edge to Batman versus Superman. You know, he has bigger legs, as you can see there, wider base, and it's ironically we're gonna compare it with my three Supermans right here with the Reeves one. He's the shortest of them all, but in reality he's the, you know, the taller guy. I think he's 6'4", and Cavill is around 6'1". So, but still, you know, the Reeves version is not. Is holding its own, you know, after all those years. Something I'm not gonna get rid of. But yeah, I got this three Supermans, and it's not that, you know, it could be worse. You could be collecting Iron Man, like I said. So head sculpt, this one's a pretty strong head sculpt as well. Batman versus Superman version. But at the same time, Cavill with the Man of Steel is also not bad. As you can see here, I'm just gonna toggle between frames here. You can't really go wrong between the two. This one is a bit more stern, more serious tone, and the Man of Steel is a bit more calm. It's two different head sculpts, which makes it better. We've seen figures who they reuse head sculpts over and over. This is not simply that they changed the hairstyle or whatnot. This is, you can see from his forehead, he's a bit angry on this head sculpt, which is now again, it boils down to preference. Some people prefer the Man of Steel version because of I don't know, the hair, and they said it captures Cavill more. I'm trying to shine some light here in a different angle, but I see both of them. I see Cavill in both head sculpts, so you can't really go wrong. It's like they both look like Cavill, but at the same time they still look similar, if that makes sense. So and I think it runs all over the figure where they look similar but also different at the same time. As you can see there, just give me a really quick comparison between the two, not only with the head sculpt, but I'm gonna stand them side by side here. As you can see there, the shoulder color modifications, the color of the suit. Overall, I would say they got it better in a Batman versus Superman. Go down there, so just a quick side by side here. Even the boots, I like the boots better on the Batman versus Superman. It has this kind of like a black net thingy, where compared to the Man of Steel version, it's kind of plain, but it still has some pattern on it. Like I said, it's not horrible. It's just, I think it's a touch better when it comes to outfit on the Batman versus Superman. And as far as Zod, even though it's Batman versus Superman, it still scales pretty well with Zod. So if you decided to skip altogether on Man of Steel, you can do so. And this is them standing right next to Zod. So hey, like I said, if you only have to decide one, so I'm giving you several options here. So they both look great right next to Zod. So obviously you're gonna give Man of Steel a little bit of a nudge because the height is pretty much the same. Zod is a tall guy as well, as far as a figure, I mean. But if we replace him with armored bats, and I can't make him stand for the life of me, so you know what, we're gonna do a cut and then put him on here. So now he's standing better. But so let's say you decided to skip on the Batman versus Superman Man of Steel. Even with Man of Steel, he still looks great right next to armored Batman. At the time that I'm shooting this, I don't have the ordinary Batman yet. But just check out my Facebook page. You can see some pictures of Man of Steel standing right next to armored bats, and you can see the height difference or indifference. They're pretty much the same height, which it shouldn't be. But there you go. So this is the two figures. Like I said, I mean, if you can buy both, I would suggest get both. Maybe I'm a little biased here because I'm a Superman fan, but you only have two to choose from, so it's not that big of a deal. They're not gonna, maybe they'll milk it one day, with Batman versus Superman. They already came out with 3 Batmans. Overall in Superman, I have 3, so it's not that big of a deal for me. I'm happy to buy most of them. They're the same, but not exactly. You can have both. If you could, I would suggest owning both. If you can only have one, it all depends on the price, but I think Man of Steel is cheaper right now because of Batman vs Superman still being hot. So if we factor price, I would say go for Man of Steel then. If they're both priced the same, then go for Batman vs Superman. So yep, so that's it. Thank you for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe, and once again, check out my boy Steve's